As you are no doubt aware, on December 2nd, 2017, I participated as a reproductive services counselor at the Alexandria Women's Health Clinic, located at the Landmark Towers at 101 Whiting Street. A management representative of the abortion mill spotted us when we entered the foyer of the condominium complex, where an Alexandria Police Department officer has a rental unit through the Condominium Owners Association, obtained with a rental reduction agreement to provide private and exclusive security to the abortion mill, and a personal patrol car which we passed while crossing the parking lot to enter the premises. She immediately made a prejudgment that 4 individuals, including one African American with a single red rose entering a commercial residential complex with a deli, a dentist office, and many other commercial businesses, and she immediately informed us that the police had already been called. The abortion mill is on the 2nd floor, and she had no walkie-talkie or any other to alert the abortion mill upstairs, but before we even got to the waiting room, the clients were already being segregated to another room, leaving us to counsel the remaining persons in the room: an African American female who had come to support a friend, a Latino or Hispanic male who had come to support his mother, an elderly gentleman with a beard who claimed that he was just hanging out, and a young vocal man who stated that he was only there to collect information. I cannot personally fathom why what is described as a simple clinical procedure would require persons to arrive with friends or family in support, which to me is clear evidence that this operation is not so simple, because no one asks for persons to accompany them to have a filling placed in the office of a dentist, not for a tooth being pulled, nor for a root canal. Nonetheless, the vocal young man continued to engage in what appeared to be negotiation de-escalation dialogue, evidencing some level of modest training and raising my suspicions that he was a law enforcement officer or a former law enforcement officer. Months prior to that date, and on the evening after Independence Day, I received Gmail alert notification that my email account had been breached. The intruder took remote control of my personal computer and digital devices, engaging in mischievous activity, including mailing files and misdirecting my GPS as I attempted to locate the nearest FBI office to Lorton, and was directed to an isolated area where I abandoned pursuit and proceeded to the headquarters in Washington for them to have an opportunity to witness a live cyber attack from a location in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Based upon this obvious information and communication security breach, I was fully aware that someone was monitoring my communications and informed all Red Rose rescuers that our security had definitely been breached. My suspicions of police involvement in the breach were confirmed on the day of my arrest from tactical field intelligence I collected on the scene, based upon reports and personal witness of a simultaneous Red Rose rescue in our nation's capital. At that location, an abortion mill in the Brentwood section that operates 21.5 hours per day, from 5:30 in the morning until 2 o'clock in the morning, according to the Google Maps information on December 28th, but now advertised as operating 24 hours on most days, except weekends, when they are open from 6:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock in the evening on Saturdays, and 6:30 in the morning until midnight on Sundays. Yet, and still, Red Rose rescuers, who arrived at 9 o'clock in the morning, found it closed at 9 o'clock in the morning, with a note that the facility would open at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, perhaps only coincidentally allowing sufficient time for everyone arrested in Alexandria to clear booking and arrive with sufficient time to personally witness the brutal arrest of Father Steve Imperato, whose arrest caused an innocent bystander, an African American woman who obtains other medical services in that building and who was wholly unaware that there was an abortion mill in that facility because there is no open and obvious sign, stated that if it was a black man being handled by police in that manner, everyone in that predominantly black neighborhood would call it police brutality, as they dragged him along the parking lot adjacent to the building and applied obvious pain compliance measures that could be seen from over 15 feet away, where we stood in personal witness. Moreover, the Alexandria police have yet to respond as to why they took a group picture of all Red Rose rescuers, their supporters, and attorneys at the court appearance on January 22nd, nor an answer as to why they returned, in answer to a Freedom of Information Act request, not the requested group photograph of smiling friends. but what appears obviously to be a surveillance photograph taken surreptitiously from the side, and not from the front. On the day of our entry, not only did the abortion mill manager attempt false arrest and detainment based on no probable cause, but also made a false police report to the Alexandria Police Department based on no probable cause. Our entry was at approximately 9 in the morning, and she immediately contacted the police officer who has a rental unit in the condominium, and she testified that he had to put on his uniform to present as an on-duty officer, while the other officers, who had just completed roll call, were being alerted and apparently en route to interdict the trespass in progress. My arresting officer informed me at the time of my arrest and en route to the booking station that the Alexandria Police Department had only 3 available patrol cars and all available units were sent to interdict the trespass in progress, bankrupting the city of Alexandria of every law enforcement asset for a mere trespass in progress conducted by only 4 middle-aged individuals. The officer in charge testified in court that he could not recall exactly how many officers were on the scene to interdict a trespass in progress conducted by 4 middle-aged individuals, but he estimated that it was approximately 20. We can only thank a God in heaven that no serious, clear, and imminent threat, like that which occurred in June of last year, in a quiet Alexandria park, when an elderly man armed with a 4-foot rifle somehow managed to evade the alarms of persons of whom he asked questions in a community that in a liberal ideology abhor firearms and specifically cry out for a ban on assault weapons, like the one that he was carrying, and begin to conduct a violent assault against Republican congressmen who had convened in that park near sunrise in the Del Rey section for a baseball practice, leaving injured several, including the House Majority Whip, Congressman Steve Scalise. Consequent to arrest and prior to booking, uniformed and armed officers of the Alexandria Police Department violated my Miranda rights, engaging in interrogation questioning without my waiver of my civil rights to determine critical tactical intelligence, regarding our strength, objectives, morale, and support. One armed and uniformed arresting officer, in the presence of 3 other arresting officers, evacuated me from the waiting room where I was laying on the floor with a single red rose in my hand, isolated me in a hallway before boarding the elevator from the 2nd floor to directly ask me off the record how I was selected. All officers at the trial admitted that they routinely engage in exchange of pleasantries with detainees after the issue of a Miranda warning, but they denied ever violating my Miranda rights. Further, they testified that they have no plan in place to interdict the contingency of a trespass in progress, despite a similar operation in September 2017. They testified that they brought with them no experienced officers in this armada of approximately 20 uniformed officers responding to a call-in complaint of a crime about which the caller had no probable cause to alert the police. If arresting officers had any apprehension about my level of threat risk, their lax security protocols, even after identifying me as a person with a concealed hand carry permit, did not evidence that concern, with my arresting officers performing a lackadaisical pat-down that did not even check my cowboy boots, a routine check even performed by any security officer and a metal detector, and turning his back to me several times consequent to arrest while alone while I was uncuffed. I reported to the chief of police about the lackadaisical procedures for him to perform a review of his security protocols and to better train his law enforcement officers, and specifically stated that I did not wish to further comment on the matter, but yet and still the desk supervisor, who was also present at the scene of my arrest, sent to me an email, prior to my trial scheduling date, to inform me that he wished to discuss the circumstances of my arrest, and stated that he had left a voice mail message that I have not found. I suspected shady dealing in addition to an obvious violation of my Miranda rights in questioning without a waiver of an attorney, and informed the mayor and chief of police, who stated that they would look into the matter. It was only the moral courage of a prudent and honest judge that the sentencing recommendation of the Commonwealth Attorney to assess an excessive and punitive $500 fine, expressly under the rationale that I had to pay for the inconvenience that I had caused to the city in a mere crime of trespass, for which I presented a defense of compelling necessity to end the slaughter of innocent babies, primarily of impoverished mothers and women of color. The recommended fine was 2 times that which she had only weeks before recommended against a person convicted of possession of quantities of marijuana. That my sentence was that my sentence was reduced to only $300, as announced in open court, but appearing as suspended, by the time that I spoke with the clerk. Prior to my trial, on February 9th, and after my arrest, persons masking their true identity began to engage in harassment contact via email, in violation of federal law, specifically 47 United States Code, Section 223. On January 17th, one day before a court appearance in the Arlington County General District Court, where I have been hauled into court on a perjured affidavit and warrant swearing that I am a resident of New Jersey, and alleging a debt obligation owed that is an allegation in contravention to an established course of dealing to which I was personally subjected to when I acquired my unit in the Carlton condominium, held responsible for repaying the Owners Association for a defaulting unit holder, whose unit was foreclosed upon. I issued an oral police report to a uniformed desk officer at the headquarters of the Alexandria Police Department, and shared with him the unlawful conduct under federal law, provided the email addresses of one of the perpetrators, including one easily discoverable America Online email account and two encrypted Tutanota email accounts, but the desk officer informed me that the conduct violated no law known to him, agreed that the conduct was at least annoying, and promised to complete a written police report to define the perpetrator, suspected to be Charles Hernick, currently a resident of Maryland, having relocated after obtaining 2 climate change jobs after running for U.S. Congress against you, as a named person of interest, but that police report has yet to be written or assigned a police report number. Moreover, on the same day that they Twitter account for the Alexandria Police Department engaged in a false publication, in violation of Virginia law, accusing me of spamming them on a medium where all participants are free to opt out of a tag, and claiming that my conversations about their violations of law had nothing to do with them, and issuing me a gag order in a virtual space where they have no jurisdiction, in a conversation stream that averages over 35,000 impressions per day, and with a profile picture and username that presents the appearance of lawful authority. Such actions by personnel at the Alexandria Women's Health Clinic in false arrest and detainment and issue of a false police report, excessive force, possible violations of search and seizure laws under the 4th Amendment, definite violations of Miranda rights under the 5th Amendment, and impersonation as a lawful authority on social media by the Alexandria Police Department represent actions of intimidation, in violation of the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, codified at 18 United States Code, Section 248. I have submitted an online police report to the Federal Bureau of Investigation to bring these terrorists to justice regarding the telecommunications harassment violation, and, based upon our mutual concern about the FACE Act, I demand that you and your office exert the strongest efforts to ensure that these terrorists are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. However, based upon prior experience with yourself and your office where your chief of staff personally escorted me into the hallway to demand that I make peace with myself, and after having been ignored in a request to expedite a Freedom of Information Act request regarding an improper offer of a lucrative federal job for which I was not qualified when I ran as a challenger candidate against you, where, despite the expressions of deepest and sincerest confidence by Senator Tim Kaine that you would eventually respond, but have not yet to date, requiring the intercession of the able and devoted staff of the Honorable Senator Mark Warner, I highly doubt that you will lift a finger to assist in this matter as in others that you have failed to do in your shameful term in Congress, even earning the distinction of having the worst roll call vote absence record of any other legislator in the Commonwealth, even after your boast on C-SPAN as a freshman congressman that you were the envy of Congress because you have the closest congressional district to Capitol Hill. It is pitiful shame that you disingenuously posted on Facebook to abortionists who support you that you were standing there with them in June 2016 before the steps of the Supreme Court, where I was, joining Students for Life, enduring mocking comments from persons who laughed at our prayers and rejoiced in Bacchanalian orgy, dancing in a party after the High Court decided to reject arguments that the Texas health measures to ensure the safety of women, predominantly poor, and women of color, was an undue burden against their choice to kill their babies with the assistance of Planned Parenthood. Every person in your picture, except you, is wearing a winter coat, and you have the brazenness to be holding a sign that says in hashtag, stop the sham. You owe, at least those persons who support your views, a public apology for this blatant lie. It is a pathetic shame that you rushed to the Washington Post immediately after a young man with immigrant parents was shot by park police on the George Washington Parkway in December to make empty promises and cry crocodile tears about how you would make it your priority, but by New Year that morning family was at the police station, making peace with themselves, and demanding that police provide them answers. And, having fulfilled your promise only cosmetically by posting a tweet that no one reads, and following up with a press release published about your stupid and shameless social media post in a newspaper that no one reads, providing no solace for a grieving family nor pressing for a resolution to unanswered questions, both Virginia's senators, the job to which you openly aspire, were forced to intervene with the FBI to demand answers for that family who are constituents in your district and who probably voted for you. It was a heartless and shameful sacrilege that you most recently, after the brutal massacre in a Florida high school that you, who profess to be a Catholic, but who openly encourage persons to reject Christians' beliefs and have no problem standing in solidarity with persons of the Islamic faith in a mosque directly implicated in the planning of the September 11, 2001 attacks that killed residents of this district, or endorsing a nuclear deal that threatens the security of Israel, our strongest ally and best friend in the Middle East, dared to attend a vigil and pray for voices to be raised to across America when any Kennedy Democrat knows full well that God's work on earth must truly be our own, a duty you have obviously abandoned in exercise of an office you took an oath before God to you accepted uphold its responsibilities, and with no purpose of evasion nor with any mental reservation. Damn you, Don Bayer, and may God have mercy on your soul. Next year in Jerusalem. You can't save the world if you are never born.
Happy New Year, and next year in Jerusalem.
Keeping the faith in the eighth. Let's make America great again. Honest.
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.
So, Webb, off the record, how were you selected?
Sir, yes, sir!
You can tell me, kid. Off the record.